Thank you so much, Natalia, for that very kind introduction. Before we get started, I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. And of course, special thanks to Art Fair Tokyo for organizing this panel and inviting us to be a part of it. Also, thanks to all our panelists joining us from South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Japan. Nojemu, Ning, Chong, Kevin Poon, and Koji Nakao. So let's get right to what this talk is. This particular talk is about collecting in Asia, which has become more and more international in recent years. And at the same time, there is a specific way of collecting that has been shown in the region. So you have collectors in Japan, Singapore, China, and South Korea that have distinguished themselves and carved out a very strong voice for themselves in the collecting landscape within the continent and beyond. So today, these 4 collectors will share their way of navigating art fairs, galleries, studios, how they build their art collection, what kind of collecting practice they have, and also about what kind of role they play in the increasingly turbulent art world. So let's get started. My very first question is directed to everyone on the panel. When and why did you start collecting? So maybe Ning, you want to start us off?
That's a very long answer, but I'll keep it short. I basically grew up in a house full of fine art objects. My dad has been collecting art since the 80s. And you can say that I caught the art bug or the collecting bug from him. So along in that vein, naturally, he's a big influence also in the type of art that I'm interested in. So very briefly, I run the Culture Story, and it's a private art collector space based in Singapore. Currently, I manage the family art collection, which initially was driven by my dad, as I mentioned. But over the last 8 to 10 years, we actually drive the acquisition strategy together. Because at the end of the day, you have finite resources, and you need to be, I think more and more in this day and age, you need to be quite focused if you can, in terms of what areas you want to collect, so that you can acquire a deep, it can be broad, but hopefully a deeper sort of collection, whether it's by artist or medium or genre or category, or even by country, for example. It's carte blanche. It's really up to you where your preferences lie. And at the end of the day, I think collecting art is very much a form of self-expression for the collector. So I'm in a slightly unusual situation where it's a collection that's driven by now 2 people. And yes, we visit art fairs, we go to galleries, we also attend auctions. So my dad is flying to Hong Kong in April for the auctions. One of our must-goes is we will always go back to Frieze in London every year in October because we love London. And as much as possible, we travel to all the major fairs, at least in the region in Asia, to learn, to train our eyes, and to meet new friends and old friends, and to network. Personally, I've actually just started my own collection, which is a bit of irony, because really all this while I've been looking after his collection, our broader family collection, which is about 300 pieces strong. And I think I found the confidence and my own voice, and I've accumulated enough funds to say, okay, I want to start my own collection. And it's been emotionally very, very rewarding. So yeah.
Okay, Jay, how about you?
So I started collecting art since high school, college years. I was back in the day, I was living in the States. And at that time, my friends from Vietnam, they were collecting art toys. And at the time, I was thinking it's funny on that. I mean, it was not that expensive compared to now, but still I was in high school. So that's how I started. And after, since I naturally got into art world. And so since all these years, I started collecting paintings and was not that big paintings, but now I love sculptures, paintings, installations, and yeah, all different kinds of art. And I collect art with my wife. We do it together.
Okay, how about you, Kevin? What about what is your interest? What made you start collecting?
I don't know. I think ever since I was young, I grew up being kind of a hoarder, really. You know, I used to grow when I was collecting stickers when I was a toddler, and then that moved on to stamps, and then that moved on to bear bricks and art toys and sneakers and all types of stuff. But I really started collecting art, I think, in 2003, when I was kind of in the mix with like Futura 2000, Jose Parla, Cause, and they would be visiting Hong Kong, and you know, we would be doing events and things, and I would just, you know about the art world through them and just collecting one or two pieces of my friends to support them. And then it just kind of started to become an obsession, and then one thing led to another. And now, you know, I have a gallery that has 4 locations, and I want to be a bigger part of the conversation, you know, showcasing stuff that I like and just helping, you know, young artists and just breaking down all types of barriers of the art world.
That's a very interesting point that you made about breaking down barriers in the art world. But we'll talk about that a bit more later on. For now, maybe you want to expand a bit on what the specific focus of your art collection is. Like, are there any specific themes, social issues, artists, or medium that you're interested in?
I think for me, I don't collect, you know, art based on issues. It's more if I connect with the artist, and I always like to know the artist before I dive deep into, you know, collecting their works. Usually it's, you know, knowing about their practice, where they came from, what they grew up, what the work is about, and if it speaks to me. And so, you know, I think it's quite personal in that sense. You know, I collect a lot of figurative stuff, but now it's moving a little bit to abstract as well. And so the taste is always kind of evolving.
Okay. And Ning?
Which is, you know, your taste and your preferences will evolve over time. And I mean, if there's one advice to any new art buyer or art collector out there is, actually, I would always advise set a budget and don't be afraid to take that plunge, because you have to make that first acquisition to then, you know, feel the buzz, feel the adrenaline, and, you know, your skin in the game, so to speak. And from there, educate yourself about art. At least know what you don't like and what you like, or what you are sort of leaning towards. And then from there, do your homework, right? It's like anything, if you're buying, you know, watches, whiskey, whatever, even if you love food and you want to understand about food, you have to learn about it, right? So it's exactly the same. In terms of taste, I will mention my dad a lot because we work very closely together. And as I say, you know, the collection is, at the end of the day, it's a family collection. And we're both very drawn to abstract works, whether by Asian artists or Western artists. And for my dad, what we have actually sort of managed to loosely define in terms of acquisition is we also want to support young artists. So we set aside a budget to support young artists, and, you know, it's always within maybe 2 to 10,000. But when you're looking at a mid-career artist or works that you're going to spend a significant amount, okay, then we need to have a conversation, right? Why are we buying this work, this artist? Do we have this artist's work in the collection already? Are we trying to sort of fill a gap, or, you know, maybe want to acquire works from this series? Like, we have to be intentional about it, and naturally in that vein, you do the due deep, right? You go online, you check the prices, you talk to the primary gallery, you look at the secondary market, and then we make a decision together whether it's something that we want to acquire. And I would say over the last one new category that we started collecting together is actually street art, and it came out of a project that I did in 2018, 2019 with Futura, which is a name that Kevin brought up. And it's amazing that you guys go all the way back 20 years. Did you say 2003? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So the project that I did with Futura, I won't go into too much detail, but essentially I met him in New York on a trip, and a friend hooked us up, and we went to visit the studio. And I didn't realize he is who he is. And I looked at the work first because he was pulling out the canvases, and I said, how is it that no one knows about your art at least in Singapore? I'm not sure about Asia. So from that point on, my dad and I started looking at street artists, primarily first from the US. And since then, we have been acquiring works from galleries in New York. And I'm very proud to say that there's actually a Futura piece that's shown at the Art Science Museum right now under this exhibition called Sneakertopia. You guys should check it out next time you're in Singapore. All of you are welcome to go check it out. It's on for, I think, 5 months. And actually another artist I'd like to highlight is Timothy Curtis. He's from Philadelphia originally. He's represented by a New York gallery right now. And his work, our work, is also in the same museum show. So I'm very proud of that acquisition because I spotted him in 2018 at the Beyond the Streets exhibition in LA. So for me, it's sort of like, yes, like I discovered a really great artist and he's going places. So yeah. So having said that, we've been collecting art for a long time. So you know a piece of art gets to you when you can't stop thinking about it, even after you've gone home. So that's the kind of work that you should pay attention to.
Sounds good. Let's welcome Koji. Koji, can you hear us? I think you're on mute. You need to unmute.
How about this? Okay, thank you.
Yes, yeah, perfect.
First of all, so sorry for joining late.
No worries.
Due to the
no
technical
worries,
problems, that is common statement. Okay.
No worries. We're just in the first round of questions. So
right.
why don't you have a turn at telling us more about why you started collecting and what's the focus of your art collection?
Why the first collection is kind of a coincidence. I saw very interesting piece when I visited Sweden and Stockholm, and the office I visited, they have a wonderful piece in the lobby. I didn't know that was a contemporary art. Anyway, so it's very, very nice. So I asked the guy of that office or the company. I said, "This is nice, so how much is it?" And who is the artist? And he told me this and this and this, and it's $200,000. I said, "Wow, can I?" I said, "Thank you very much." But he said to me, says, "Go back to the hotel, and there should be a gallery, the gallery where they handle these artists." And so I went back to the hotel, and I went to that gallery, and I found the small piece of the same artist. That is a kind of first acquisition.
What was the artist's name? Sorry.
That is a question when I told this story, everyone says, "So who was it?" I don't remember that, but it's a glass piece, and sorry. So that is a kind of a first thing, yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you share with us the larger focus of your art collection?
Okay. As I said, I didn't think about the collection when I acquired the first piece. I said just interesting, so I bought it. But at that time I lived in the United States, so I had a chance to see many contemporary art pieces, galleries, art fairs, and so forth. And then I started buying one after another, and that became the collection. That is my focus is I like to meet with an artist in person. Not always possible, but if possible, to me that is important, because then when I talk to them, him or her, they'll tell us their thoughts, their life, and those are very important, of course, besides the artwork. But just not artwork, but I'm interested in their kind of thoughts, viewpoints in person, and that is kind of a very interesting to me. And then depends on the size of my purse. Then I say, okay, that's true. That is very important. And then I acquire this and that piece. And in my case, so it's kind of a very coincidental. It is not a collection based on the professional advisor. So in here and there, but I like things like some political connotation, which is to me very important. And also in some countries, like in Japan and so forth, some art pieces deal with some taboos, political or racial, social taboos. And I like to see some artworks in that context. So that is kind of my collection.
That's very interesting. So do you all want, from what I understand from what y'all have shared, most of y'all, all of y'all on this panel are interested in collecting works by living artists. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
Yes, but not 100%.
Okay, not 100%.
But okay. Yeah, 90%, that is correct.
Okay, so this is a question for everyone on the panel.